Hello, guys. It has been such a long time since I delivered this sermon via this electronic device. I feel very uncomfortable with myself delivering sermon through this means, but we better get used to it, and I have no other choice. Actually, we had in Korean service, we had a service in 2 weeks in a row without any major kind of episode, physical sense. I feel very thankful that at least we can start some semblance of a service. And I am hoping that somehow we can have a service very soon with you guys coming, and at least we can see some face-to-face, even though we can maintain this social distancing and the wearing mask. I feel the day will come sooner than later. Today, I'm going to deliver a sermon based on 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 1 through 22. It's about I have to give you some kind of a little bit of background to help you understand where I'm coming from, and also what kind of message I am driving at. The 1 Samuel chapter 4 is about Israel. The children of God has been under attack. It's about the Palestine is attacking Israel. The enemy of God has an upper hand in the battleground right now, and the children of God is under siege right now. Then, so they went out to fight against Palestine, but somehow they are losing. They are about to be defeated by Palestine. You know, the duel between the children of God, Israel, and the enemy of God, Palestine, has been endured for such a long time. It's still going on in Middle East right now. It's like a tinderbox. It's like a ticking bomb. So the prelude, the genesis of this battle has been going on in chapter 4 in the Old Testament of the Bible. So they are losing. They did everything they can mobilize in order to bring some kind of a challenge to the overwhelming military power over Palestine. But they were losing. They are about to be defeated by, big time now. So the people of Israel, children of God, was asking themselves, scratching their head, saying, "What's going on? What God is doing right now?" And his children are about to be lost, defeated by the enemy hand, and they feel like God is not listening to them, and God is not on their side. God is watching, doing nothing, when children of God was defeated by enemy of God, by the Palestine. So some of the elder member they came up with this brilliant idea. It's like picking the rabbit out of the head, kind of the feet. They're saying, "Oh, by the way, why don't we bring out the Ark of Covenant, and then bring Ark of Covenant into the battleground, and then the momentum will be shifted to their favor, and then they can defeat Israel, the Palestine." So they thought this is such a good idea, and they were saying like, why have not been thought about this one, right? Thought about this one, and the Ark of Covenant was there for them to use, so that the wind will be blowing to their favor. So they brought out this Ark of Covenant. But something strange things happened. The Ark of Covenant was not doing anything. Actually, the bringing out the Ark of Covenant, dusting off all those, dust piled up because they have not been using or they have not been doing anything in the glory of Ark of Covenant, emboldened, did the opposite effect. Actually, bring out the Ark of Covenant, embolden and empower the Palestinians. And then what had happened? And the two sons of Eli, the what do you call it? In modern terms, the minister's son, two sons came out. They were dead. The two sons of the Bible described the wicked sons of Eli. The high priest had gone with into the battleground with the ark, and they were slain. They were dead. The Hophni and the Phinehas, two sons, they slain. And upon hearing the death of two sons, the high priest himself, somebody rushing toward him, saying, by the way, in the battleground, and your two boys got slain. And then upon hearing this news, Bible describes it, he fell backward from the chair he was sitting, and he was dead at that very moment. And then upon hearing this news, sometimes we say good news coming in waves too, right? But sometimes bad news come in our life in waves too. And he lost two sons, and high priest dead. And then upon hearing this news, one of son's wife, she was pregnant at that time. And then, even though after hard labor, she gave birth to a son, and the mother named just born son's name Ichabod. Ichabod is the name like, Spirit of God left us. Spirit of God has deserted us. So that's such a strange name, tragic name. It is such a beautiful moment. You name your son, just born son, named Ichabod. Spirit of God has left. The presence of God has deserted us. So just to take a moment here, Ark of Covenant is the place where presence of God, Emmanuel, God is with us. God is providing us. God is providing shelter. God has been refugee. And in time of battle, God has been fighting ahead of you, defeating enemies. That's what the Ark of Covenant is all about. But what happened here? Ark of Covenant has been the secret weapon, the secret weapon for children of God. You remember that when they crossed the Jordan River, right, toward the promised land, the river has been at the full speed and full height, and you cannot cross. At that time, you don't have any means of making the crossing of the river easier. They don't have a submarine, they don't have a boat, they don't have anything that we understand right now in order to help you expedite or make a job of crossing the river easier. But they have to cross, children, old, grandmother, grandfather. It's a daunting task. It's It's a very humbling task. So what had happened? God told them that Ark of Covenant will go before you. And then they followed in fear of God's magic hand with them, at the same time in fear of this river will swallow them. And they chose to submit to the will of God, the command of God, and they have this Ark of Covenant walking ahead of them. And then all of a sudden magic happened. Something unimaginable things happened at that very moment. And the water stopped. And then they crossed the Jordan River. And as soon as they finished the crossing, and the river came back rushing down again. And try to look at imagine that moment. There's something wow, that the Ark of Covenant is amazing things. As long as the Ark of Covenant, they have nothing at that time. They have no soldier, no army, no system to coordinate, because they just get out of the slavery over 430 years. There is no textbook to teach them what to do. But they now realize that they have nothing, right? The Egyptian army, they are the military might of China, Russia, America combined in these days at that time. But they can defeat them as long as they have Ark of Covenant with them. Look at this symbolic meaning, the Ark of Covenant. And then, do you remember, I just go over just one thing more, for the sake of saving time. And I delivered sermon this a couple of times in the sanctuary, that the Jericho, the city of Jericho collapsed, came down. It's invincible. It's one of the strongest, the city of Jericho, wall of Jericho collapsed, came down. When? They walked 7 times. Sometimes it can be left it. God said, just walk around the Jericho 7 times. God didn't say prepare. He didn't give them, blueprint, detailed map of how you're going to attack the place. That place stood out there, seemingly impossible to attack, conquer. But God said, as long as you walk with the Ark of Covenant, the magic things happen, something unimaginable things happen. And in that very moment, when everything seems hang in the air, in balance, it's so uncertain. They have no place to go now. So only thing they can do, they can move forward. But how they are going to move forward when they have nothing? But Ark of Covenant was leading them. They followed, and the 7th day, they screamed, and somehow the loud voice did magic, bring down the Jericho, the wall of Jericho, city of Jericho collapsed right in front of their eyes. So twice they're looking at the power embedded in Ark of Covenant. So as long as they have this Ark of Covenant, they follow them, right? They did magic things. Sometimes we have this symbolically magic things can happen in our life. Sometimes we have financially so stricken, and we are so devastated by things happening, and we lost everything. Or health-wise, we have some incurable disease, something impossible to climb up, to be where you are to be free of disease. So a lot of calamities is happening in our life. Catastrophe things can happen. Disaster things can happen. Right? Sometimes we are at the end of our wisdom to deal with the situation. But sometimes the Ark of Covenant is magic. I remember a long time ago, we made a trip to place to see this model of a Ark of Covenant. This is not no way to resemble the magic in our imagination, but they did the magic. It's Ark of Covenant. It's object, right? But they did the magic things. So we can ask why God let this magic Ark of Covenant did magic for children of God. Why all of a sudden in Samuel chapter 4, he didn't do any of those things? You know, they brought out this Ark of Covenant instead of protecting them, instead of did magic to defeat Palestine. They did nothing. But the opposite things happened. The high priest lost 2 sons, and he lost his life. And then, they lost 30,000 on this battle. They lost 30,000 foot soldiers, not just the people. They lost the foot soldiers, well trained, everything they had. They hoped, they depend on these 30,000 foot soldiers, but they just wiped out. Palestine just wiped out. And then in Ichabod, the Spirit of God left. This is such a symbolic statement. Ichabod, you have a baby. Ichabod said, Spirit of God left. Every time you look at this symbolic birth of child, saying father, uncle, grandfather, and then along with the 30,000 soldiers, died, disappeared at the hands of an enemy of God. So I just want to think that, what had happened, right? What had happened? The difference between the Ark of Covenant is just the object, right? But that object has to have a God's presence, or God's Spirit of God should be in that Ark of Covenant. This is a very important matter. The Solomon's temple is something that only we can imagine with the aid of a computer graphic skill. If you read the Bible, the Solomon's temple is just such a masterpiece. It's emblazoned with the gold and all those shining jewelries and all those things. It's a symbol of God's Spirit dwelling amongst the children of God. But do you know that Solomon temple, no matter how magically, how beautifully designed and built, splendor of the building came down and couldn't help Israel of God BC 586, before the birth of Christ. So now it's 2020 and the 586. It's like you guys good at the math. So maybe how long? Maybe 2,700 years ago, it couldn't help children of God, just like right now. It didn't keep them safe from the onslaught of attack from the enemy. Babylon, the king of Nebuchadnezzar, defeated them, bring them to the defeat. They thought as long as they use this temple as a weapon, as a shield, as a last resort. Bring out, just like what they are doing now, bring out the Ark of the Covenant. God will protect them. To their chagrin, to their disappointment, to their shock, the Solomon Temple didn't do anything to help them in the way of safety. And they lost their country for 70 years. They have to be dragged out of their homeland, uprooting of their family, destruction of their everything they had, scattering of family. They were dragged into the city of Babylon and under the slavery, under the yoke of slavery for 7 years. They have to cry out for God's help. We also have Moses had Aaron's, cane, right? Cane, this one. Rod, Aaron's rod. They did magic. Touch the Red Sea and split into half so that they can pass, right? Make a pathway for Israelite. And also, when the rock, Moses used this Aaron's rod in the wilderness, when they felt thirsty, he used this one and then used this, hit the rock, the water came out to have enough water for the entire, people drink the water. So this is magic. When you look at the Aaron's rod, this is not something specially made, awesome looking. It's just the same normal, usual rod that we can imagine. But it is in Moses' hand. It did magic. And eventually, that rod destroyed the well-armed, well-fortified, well-greased marches of Egyptian Pharaoh's army. But do you know that Aaron's rod sometimes has another side story to it too? And because of that disobedience, the first time Moses did something out of whim, not out of God's direction or God's, his heart was full of wrath, anger, and his ambition, and he used that one. And that has been the undoing of all things he did. And he cannot go to the promised land because of that one time disobedience, using this Aaron's rod without fully committing his heart to the glory of God. And Goliath, David used this stone to kill the Goliath, this giant, huge giant. But sometimes the stone can be a stumbling block or a stepping stone. Some small things, we use that. We have brain, our talent, a lot of our money sometimes, a lot of things that we use when can be opposite side, opposite impact of what we want to be out of this one, right? Can be a stumbling block. But at the same time, we use this one properly, it can be stepping stone toward the better things and greater blessings from life of God. So there is always two sides. So what I'm saying is, Ark of Covenant. When the presence of God was not there. So, but what do you mean that by the presence of God? Presence of God is something where your genuine heart is. When your heart is there, then God will accept that. God has this penetrating eye to see the genuine, what is going on in your heart. when you use that one. The Bible said the Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, they were criticized for engaging in a lot of shameful and corrupt kind of behavior. That's what the Bible is saying, illicit behavior, such as appropriating the best portion of a sacrifice for themselves. People bring offerings. Therefore, the first priority is to best portion is reserved for God. But somehow they were not doing that. And they were having actually, sexual relationship with the sanctuary serving the woman. And they are described the sons of Baal, and then corrupt in New King James Version, and then NIV they call the scoundrels. So you can tell, I don't have to go into the detail. You guys know what I'm trying to get at, what the Bible is trying to say. So Ark of Covenant for them is nothing for them. God's Spirit was not there. Presence of God was not there. There was not Emmanuel. It's just the Ark of Covenant is used against them, against the children of God, because their heart is not there. The stone, same thing. In the hands of David, you look at the 1 Samuel chapter 17, and they go in detail what kind of person King David was. His heart was after God. He was always repenting. He's always looking at the God's glory. And then God's Spirit, presence of God is with that. And then the stone can be stepping stone toward making way for anything you desire in your life. As long as God's Spirit with you, God's Spirit with the things in your hand, and God getting joy out of watching you enjoying for His glory, then the small things can do magic. In these days, a lot of kids walking around the cross as necklace. Does that mean wearing necklace making you more spiritual, more powerful, more pleasing in the eyes of God? I doubt that. A lot of us sometimes, we have this cross thinking that this will do some kind of a good luck charm, lucky charm. It's like if you wear that one, they will protect you from disease or make you get a better job or something like that. Something magic. I doubt that. No matter how many, this so-called good luck charm you wear, it's not going to protect you from virus. It's not going to give you more Christians. And if you, I know these days many people, tend to have this good luck charm kind of mentality. That if you have a big interview with somebody, your dream job is on the line. Somehow you think that if I wear these things, will help me land a job. I doubt that. Instead of buying expensive necklace, buy yourself good hamburger at the fraction of the money. Maybe it can help you better, think better. Suppose some people holding Bible, saying, I love America and God is with me. When they are not doing anything, Bible is teaching them. What Bible is teaching them? Think about always the least of the least among us. Because you were the least one day before. From the least to the greatest of the land, it's not you what you have done, but God's blessing. God has somehow blessed you. So always remember that. Always think about the least among you, aliens, the widow, child without parents. That's what the power and portion of the Bible is teaching all the time. Always least of the least. When they are thirsty, instead of trampling on them, give them water. People in the prison, instead of mocking or cursing at them, visit them and deliver and give them news of good news, love. It's always what you are doing. God doesn't look at the appearance. God said, don't consider his appearance or his height. I have rejected him. It's talking about in relation to Saul, King Saul. And he was a shoulder and above, appearance-wise. And God somehow, of course, God is not mistaken. He has a penetrating eye. But at least in early stage of his life, he has a God's spirit with him, King Saul. But later on, he did all these monster kind of things. He did it on his own, for his own glory, at the expense of God's glory. And then God punished them. He is dead along with his good son, Jonathan. You know the story, right? Nothing protected him when God's spirit was not with him. So the Bible, holding Bible can be double-edged sword. We have to always remember that. Don't use God's name in vain. Don't use the Bible in vain when the Spirit of God is not behind you, when you have nothing to earn his Spirit of God. God saying, I am with you. Whether you drive, whether you are aware, God's Spirit with you. Then I will do anything, no matter how small, how meager things you have. God will be with you. Then that can be stepping stone for bigger blessing that you have never imagined. So every time we say something, we do something, don't pretend. Because God has a special eye. That, we sometimes say a lot of hallelujah, amen, and, I believe in God, Jesus. When you say, be careful, please. We always have a good side. We always remember that good things on our side, right? The Ark of Covenant can protect you from any enemies. Ark of Covenant, when the Spirit of presence of God is residing in that place, and you earn the right to say that God is looking at your heart. What is in your heart? God is not looking at your appearance. It can be really scary, daunting to me as a minister. People look at me. They give me some kind of benefit of doubt, saying, he must be reading Bible, deliver sermon. He must be a great person, right? Spirit of God is with him. I'm really scary sometimes to use that one, to say that. But God is looking at not appearance. That is a perceptible, palpable in your eyes. But God is looking inside. What is in my heart? Am I be arrogant? So I have to be really careful whether or not when I deliver a sermon, God's Spirit with me or in kabad. In other words, when I deliver a sermon, the Spirit of God left me, deserted me. That is such a tragic, that is a sad story. Especially when I look at this world right now. No matter how smart we are, I'm really, really saddened that this virus, we're living in the midst of this one with no end in sight. I feel like our brain is we have this human brain is doing such magic. It's a remarkable things happen. Something I can never imagine in my lifetime is happening right now. We are able to do a lot of things, right? But this virus, at this moment, we cannot find a solution. But we have to find a solution. I learned that at the end of, when we are at the end of our wisdom, that we cannot do something, I always believe it's God's hand. God has to step in. God has to intervene us. So our prayer, our Bible should be stepping stone for us to make our case with God. God should be in that Bible when you pray. In the Bible we are using, God should be saying, I will listen. And then I will do such something that you can never imagine. This magic, silver bullet on the way to cure this one. I lived the life, I'm now 65. I enjoyed my life. And I share my joy, a lot of things, especially in America. But when I look at the young generation, I feel saddened by them. I really saddened by it. My heart is heavy with the thinking that, young people are finishing college and their dream has been delayed, postponed. Marriage, getting a job, exciting, something, life after all those hard labor and a lot of money investing in the college life. A commencement means commencing new things, next phase that God has prepared in store for you guys. And I look at these children. They cannot go to school. I'm not another psychologist, but when I'm sure that this loss of time, not going to school, education should be in a close physical proximity. But all these online class, just like a sermon, they cannot do all those magics in terms of education, making them mature, better person, or exercise, running, playground, how to in harmony, loving, exercising one another. God has to intervene in us. God has to help us. God has to help us. All this will have a trauma later on. I'm not psychologist or psychiatrist, but I can tell that this trauma will linger on, will imprint, make a lasting imprint. They don't show right now, but later on it will be shown in the things they do. So a trauma will stay with them. I don't know how it will shape up all these young people, but I'm sure the trauma will stay there. I feel sorry for them. I really feel sorry for them. God has to intervene us. But God will intervene, do magic things when our spirit, the presence of God is with us. When we do things, all the bad things, hating each other, destroying each other, mocking each other, God's Spirit is not going to be with them. God's Spirit is not going to be with us. America has been great. It has been nothing, but it is a great country. That's why I came here, so that my children, and my church members can have a blessed life. The country has nothing, but we have been repenting. We have been humbling. We were sacrificing for God's glory, God's kingdom. Freedom of speech, freedom of liberty, freedom of religion. And we glorify the God. The church all over the place. Not just the building, not just the appearance, but a lot of repenting going on. And loving God, loving each other. What God is teaching. We already took care of a list of lists. Remember, that's not coming out of my mouth. The Bible said, when you open the Bible, there was nothing huge this Bible for your namesake, for your Republican, Democrat, sake. This is for the glory of God only. Remember that when the Spirit of God was not there, that same thing will come back, boomerang, to some tragic things. I feel sorry for this country. America, how many people got lost now? We need God's intervention to save this nation. When we pray, this disease should disappear. Magic thing, not for me, but I have no more ambition. I had enough. I enjoyed my life. God blessed me. Health, minister, all those things. But I'm looking at the younger generation. What I can do, what you can do for your generation, for this country. We become one. Pray one. Really, I'm talking about sincere desire, repenting, glory of God on our knee. Not for all these drama, dilemma about the issue about the knee, something like. I'm not talking about that one at all. I'm talking about knee before God. Really, we all should kneel down before God, repenting, and earnest heart devoting to Him. Then amazing things happen. God will do magic things. What is in your desire right now? What is in your heart right now? God is not looking at the appearance. God is looking at in you, transformation, repenting of your heart. And then this small hand will do magic. When we fold it together on our knee before God, then God will magic things. And these tragic calamities will be thing of the past. And the beautiful things we should enjoy. We should enjoy it. Okay, thank you.